Okay, I'll call the Planning and Development Committee meeting to order at 6:53. All members are present. Yes. And we have 3 items on the agenda. Mr. Holmes, if you could update us on a few things here. Okay. Let's start with the first one, updates on the zoning citywide, if there's been progress on that.
I just talked to Betty Jo a little earlier. We're gonna have to set a meeting up the following week. What we failed to do is we failed to list what zones that tiny home would be allowed in. So we don't have enough time to set a meeting up for Thursday evening. We'll do it one day next week. In addition, I have found that I looked and finally found a copy of the camping regulation. So probably at that next zoning, we'll also talk about the camping regulation and have that introduced at the same time. Oh, the other zoning, okay. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the rezoning on the other end of Canal Street.
Yeah, this one, yeah. Correct.
Austin has been working on gathering all of the addresses of all the properties. Not only do we have to have the properties along that stretch, but we have to have properties 200 feet behind them. Which is not gonna be really hard because on one side, it's federal land. And now on the other side, it's gonna be Hocking College. But all of those properties have to be notified of a public hearing before we can proceed with that. So we're in the process. I think he's got all the addresses together. We'll have to put together a letter, set that, and we're not gonna, will we do it by Monday night? No, I don't think we can do it by Monday night, but we'll do it for the following council meeting. But that's where we're at with that rezoning request.
Okay, are there any questions on this item on the agenda? Okay. Next item on the agenda is updates by code enforcement on rental registration.
Oh, I didn't get any of that from him, but I can tell you where we're at with that. We've been working on the rental registration. We have reached a kind of impasse. Most of the people who are willingly cooperate have cooperated with us, which leaves us kind of a small, very small group who just kind of thumbs their nose at us. And we need some teeth to be able to deal with that. So I have contacted Mr. Rowe. We're gonna see what we can do so that when we get to that point where people just refuse to cooperate, we have something that we can address them. So that's where we're at with the rental registration. Does that lead into rental inspection?
Okay.
The lead into rental inspections is that Shelley and Austin and I have been working on it. We've come up with a rough outline, so to speak. We're not exactly sure how it's going to operate. I've reached out to Tri-County Career Center to see if we can put together an internship type program. That is definitely going to be different from rental registration. Rental registration, and I believe you made the comment or the suggestion that rather being per unit, it should be a flat fee. And after looking at that and analyzing it, I think I would agree with that. Instead of being a per unit, it should be a flat fee. The rental inspection, on the other hand, is going to have to be per unit.
Correct.
And I can tell you that I'll give you the basic structure of it. We're looking at a 5-year program. I don't believe it's necessary to do a rental inspection on every unit in the city annually. First of all, we have to hire several more people to accomplish that. So if we did a rental inspection every, well, let's say we have about almost 1,000 rentals. If we took that and did a random selection, if we did, a 5-year period, that's what, about 200 a year? Is that right?
180.
Mhm.
180?
Yeah,
Okay,
well, sorry, did you say 1,000 rentals or 900 rentals? Cause
1,000.
I've heard, okay,
yeah, it's 999
Yeah, then
or something
200.
like that. So we have approximately 1,000 rentals, so it'd be about 200 inspections a year, so, and a lot of them aren't gonna be that, pardon me, let me back up a little bit. A lot of them aren't gonna be that big a deal because, it's just gonna be checking off a check mark, checking off a list. And yes, the porch is, the exterior is fine, there's no crumbling steps, they've got running water, things like that. There are gonna be a few though, that are not gonna be fine. And what I'm hoping is that once we implement this rental inspection program, that the word will get out that, hey, there's just some basic, we're not talking high end here. Title 31 is not, it's basic. Help me out here.
Basic standard of building.
That's right, that's what I'm trying to say, yeah. You should have a working toilet, you should have running water. There should be smoke alarms in every apartment, there should be, I think the fire department requires a fire extinguisher. We're just talking basics, we're not talking about what color you paint your interior, what color you paint the exterior, has nothing to do with that. But if you have a porch and there's holes in the porch, that's a safety issue. I've been going door to door campaigning and yeah, there's concrete steps that are crumbling. That's a safety issue. There's no handrail. That's a safety issue. So that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about making these high-end apartments. We're talking about basic standards. And so we're not there yet. Probably won't be till the beginning part of the year because we're going to have to figure out an inspection fee for it. But I do agree with it makes sense not to have a per unit registration, but a per flat fee across the board. So that's one of the changes that we're going to recommend. In addition, it's going to be really difficult for Austin to do the inspections because he's not a housing inspector. He's a code enforcement officer. And so we're going to have to figure out who we get and how we pay for it, which is going to be interesting.
And just for clarity, just for clarity, this is long-term rentals only, not short-term rentals and like bed and breakfast.
It's a long-term rental.
Okay,
Yeah.
just for clarity.
That's what our rental registration is on long-term rental. We do address the short-term rentals with the lodging tax. That's on Airbnbs, the retreat house we used to own, and bed and breakfast. And I think all of except one is currently paying, and we're working on that. You have another question?
I did, I've been trying to crunch the numbers every which way from Tuesday myself, and I'm wondering if the timeline should be accelerated. 5 years, is fine. I don't think at the rate, per inspection, we'd be able to, hire more than one part-time inspector. And I know that we agree that it would be important not to send people into private properties by themselves. But, if there's 1,000 rentals, and we're going through about 500 of them a year, that's at most 2 on a working day. Maintaining that $125 inspection fee, it would bring in about $62,500 a year. That seems to be enough to hire and pay benefits for 2 part-time inspectors. And there would not really be a need at that point for a rental registration fee. But it doesn't solve the problem of the revenue being collected from the registration fee at this time going into the general code budget, so we would have to still identify an additional source of revenue to the tune of $30,000 a year.
I think the numbers are gonna be tight there. 62,000 for two part-time folks is gonna be probably not enough money. Just based on, we're talking about benefits and wage for a full-time employee of the
It's
city.
tight. Yeah,
Yeah, for a full-time employee, within the city, it's about 100 grand, right? By the time you put in wage, the benefits and healthcare. See, the healthcare, you don't see a lot of that number because the city pays it on the back end. So
Yeah.
you may not have all of that absorbed by the city if they're part-time, but you're still gonna have other benefits. So I think, 30 grand a piece is gonna be pretty tight for that, number one. Number two, you still have the issue where if landlords have housing that's under metropolitan housing, they're already getting inspected every year anyway, and they're passing inspections. So the one thing that they do too is they provide notice to the tenants and the landlord, the date and the time of when the inspection is going to be, and then they have follow-up from there. So you've also got a lot of administrative work. So let's just say half of the properties are not under metropolitan housing. So that's 500 homes. You've got the logistics of being able to send out. So you're talking 2 a day, right, on 1,000 basis. But let's just say, okay, if that were the case, that means you'd have to be mailing out stuff every single day ahead of time, probably 2 weeks in advance for people to get that, know that that's the date, the time of the inspections, that they're getting that notice. And then once you inspect, if there's something like an outlet doesn't have a ground, or you're missing a smoke detector, then you have to follow up with a letter to them saying this needs to be completed. And then you have to follow up that they actually did that. So you've got a lot of other logistical work that has to be done in that process. So I don't think I'm not trying to rain on your parade here. I just don't think it's as easy as
It's
2
not.
a day, and we're good to go. It's a lot, potentially with one unit, you may have additional follow-up, so.
yeah, that's an argument for extending the timeline. It's just,
If I-
it
if I-
won't bring, go ahead.
Yeah, if I could add, there also will be a percentage of those that did not pass that you will end up in legal litigation over. You'll probably have to take some people to court for fines, which is gonna be another,
Year.
time added to the officer's duty, whoever does the inspections. And also, if you have a landlord that has X amount of units and they pass with flying colors, do you really need to go back to them again within a certain time period? If you fail the inspection, that should maybe set you into a more frequent inspection. That would be more of a level playing field, I think, fair for everybody.
And just also too, I think you still have to maintain, which is the way our code is set up now, it's based on complaint. So you still have to have that aspect, because you have to be able to accept complaints from, tenants also. And I don't know what workload that's gonna provide, but I just think that you still have to have that, in case and that may be a higher priority than just the one you have regularly scheduled on a Tuesday. So.
Does Metropolitan Housing then send the city a report?
Not that I'm aware of to the city. I just know that, and Metropolitan Housing uses a inspection group out of Columbus now. They used to do it in-house, and now they have a group out of Columbus, and they're the ones that do it. Now I'm assuming they communicate with Metropolitan Housing on all of that.
But you don't know what they've done.
No, I mean, no. As far as I know, we don't.
Okay, thank you.
When the Metropolitan Housing does an inspection, do they cover the basics?
Yes.
Then why don't we only inspect the ones that Metropolitan Housing doesn't do?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that's where I'm saying it's you would be then, if folks are being inspected already from
Right.
Metropolitan Housing, And I don't know if there's a charge involved with that, but I'm just saying like, so if there's a charge involved with that, and then the city's then gonna impose a charge to inspect them again, let's just say they're getting inspected now twice a year, they're paying for 2 different inspections. And which,
That's not what I'm suggesting.
no, but that's why I mentioned it, because it's like, if there is an expense already, and then the city's gonna charge on top of that, so it just seems like now you're getting.
But if we're okay with what they're doing, then don't include that in your list.
Agreed.
And as long as we receive, because those landlords that have those properties have paid the rental registration fee. So we know who's has the HUD housing.
Well, no, you don't. You would know who has rental property.
Yeah, but I mean, if we
Yeah.
set it up that, you know, when you pay your rental registration fee, you're designating that X amount are HUD inspected, and then they could generate a report back to the city.
Yeah, so the way I think that I understand that how metropolitan housing works, is that they're not allowed to, it's kind of like your taxes, right? You can't disclose, you know, who's filing their taxes, who's not, how much each person's paying, right? It's a confidentiality, I think, but I don't see why you couldn't probably get a report from metropolitan housing to say, you have X amount of units within the limits of the city, and let's just say that's 500, and you're at a 70% pass rate, then maybe you can, so you're not talking specifics, but then maybe you could work with them to be like, okay, so what are we doing to resolve that? Just to ensure, just to be notified.
You've given me some ideas. I'm gonna reach out to Metropolitan Housing, because I think I don't see the purpose in doing duplicate inspection.
Yeah, and it depends on the level of their standard, which is what we are looking at.
That's
My
what I'm
understanding,
saying.
it's basic stuff
Yeah.
as well.
Well,
Yeah.
let me do some research.
Okay.
Because that could, would you say half of them are Metropolitan Housing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I can tell you that there's a lot in the city, I can tell you that. I don't know if it's half, or I'm almost gonna say it's probably more.
Then I need to do some, let me do some homework.
If,
Proco stopped accepting HUD 2 years ago, and I think that's pretty drastically reduced the
okay,
amount of HUD housing we have. They stopped around, I think it was December of 2020, they evicted all of their HUD tenants right before Christmas in 2020 during the pandemic.
isn't that pleasant?
It was, yeah. It was quite a crisis. for
Let
some people,
me
but-
if you allow me, let me do some homework. Okay, because I think that you bring up a very important question that, really could change the whole dynamic. You know, so.
okay, we only have a few minutes left. Is there
Sorry, I didn't
anything
mean to be
else
rude.
Oh,
on,
you're fine.
on that item? If not, the last item is vacant property updates. Do you have anything for that?
I really don't. I do know they've been working on some vacant property. I do know that there's some people come in and have taken out demolition permit. Because rather than, it's at the point where it's gotta come down.
Mhm.
And we're not making them take it down. They're choosing to take it down on themselves.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah, I referenced, I seen a letter that come through, and I called the gentleman today, and he said he had just left the office.
Right, right. And so, I would say the vacant property, the work we're doing is, is ending up in some good results. So, I can tell you that we're working on it. I can tell you people know about us. And I can also tell you this, that people are coming in, and the vast majority of people are saying, I want to work with you. Okay, you know, and so we're saying, yeah, let's work together. So, occasionally we run into somebody, but very few.
according to Mr. Kelly's, letter here, he did, since the last meeting, he's taken 4 vacant property applications and 7 rental registration. So on here, so. Yeah, that's good.
And they know he's out there.
Do we have, how much time do we have?
We
Oh,
actually
we
have a
got
lot of
about
time,
7, 8 minutes.
because the release that was sent out by Mr. Pfeiffer had,
7:20, the finance committee starts.
it says 8 PM.
Yeah. The one I have here says 7:20.
That was your email. We'll talk about it when we adjourn.
Mr. Holmes, is there an update on the Metro building data? Since we have a few minutes. Okay.
No, there's no discussion, there's no,
Nothing set.
yeah, that has nothing to do with the playground. That's a
Yeah.
totally-
I was just, that was a separate, being in planning and development, I was just wondering if there
No,
was
but
any.
I just wanna make sure that no one thinks that has no connection whatsoever.
Has the city started to try to engage with Hocking College a bit more about the situation with the mentioned building?
I have a meeting, with Hocking College on Thursday. It's not about that issue. It's about something else, but no, to be honest with you, it's not, I haven't forgotten about it, but it's not forefront right now.
Okay,
I haven't forgotten about
thank you.
it. You're welcome.
Okay, we got a few minutes. Is there anything else?
Yes,
Yes.
Tuesday night is our first hearing committee. You know, it's gonna be at the Nelsonville Public Library at 6:00 p.m. And, should be, I know that Della Rucker has sent some, documents for everyone to review. And, I think everyone's really excited to get started.
Very good. Could you send out an email to everybody about that, when it
Yes.
is?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Be happy to.
That's awesome.
And we are gonna be working on the, human resource manual, but not right now. Got a couple things we gotta finish up.
Sure.
Very good.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I move to adjourn at 7:15.